I'm Rachel,
I'm Ivy.
and we are Swords and Sapphics, a podcast all about queer media, representation, and women with a capital W.
Hello.
Hello.
Who are we talking to today?
Well, today we are talking to one of our favorite authors, one of our automatic buys,
Yes.
Olivia Dade.
Yeah. Which is,
Olivia Blooming Dade.
oh my gosh. This is so exciting.
So exciting. I want to talk to more of our favorite authors now.
I
Like,
know.
now that we've got one, like, could we get more, maybe?
I mean, this is not the first time. Like we had like Rebecca, not Ross.
Oh, yeah, Rebecca Thorne.
Thank you. Yeah, we keep saying we love everybody we talk to,
We
but it's
do.
different to be able to contact people that you're a fan of
Yeah.
and be able to like pick their brain about your favorite things in the world. It's
Yeah.
just so exciting.
And we got to talk about zombies.
There you have it.
Perfect.
So for those who don't know, Olivia Dade is a writer who writes mo only, I think, plus-sized characters in her books, which is exciting. We talked about her books, about the spoiler alert series. I want to say season one. It was at
I
the beginning.
swear it was like one of the first teaser clips we ever
Yeah,
posted on.
that's right. I remember, and I think she actually liked it on Twitter.
Oh,
Oh
yay!
my gosh, now you're right. It's coming back to me. Oh,
Yeah.
look at us coming full circle.
I actually think I talked about how she wrote pubes in that book. And
Oh,
like I'm
yes.
I'm I'm gonna say it like I'm so glad I read that book at that time because
Mm.
I know that what I can put in my books and what I can't.
Yeah.
Well, I can what there's nothing I can't put in my
Mhm.
books because I know that you're allowed to get like gritty with the details and show like real humans.
Hmm. But it's
And I
different.
have to thank for that.
Yeah.
I can put this
It's
in the book. Put the fucking
abs
pubes. Not all women shave.
yes. Anywho,
What have you been enjoying recently?
puzzling. Ivy is doing some puzzling while watching The New Girl. And I started because you know what? I didn't know what to do today. And I was watching The New Girl and Winston started puzzling. Winston did some
Why have you
puzzling.
started putting the? You've started putting the in front of New Girl. It's just New Girl. There's no the.
You know what? I don't like this anymore. I'm just gonna
I just
put the
I was just
everywhere.
curious. Yeah.
Period. Anyway, yeah, so
I've just
when
never heard you call it that before in all the time.
I don't even know I do that. I don't know when I do that.
It just happens.
Just happened.
Donald the duck. Peter the pan.
Anyway, Winston gave me the idea to puzzle. Um,
Uh-huh.
so that's what I'm g gonna be doing while watching New Girl. And I'm reading. What am I reading? I'm reading. Where is it? I love the
You're reading
book.
Mariana Zapata.
Oh yeah, there it is. The Things We Water by Marina Zapata. It's her first paranormal, not paranormal. It has werewolves and all kinds of animals. It's fantasy.
And what does she be watering?
I don't know yet. I didn't got there yet. Yeah,
Fascinating.
I'm honestly, one chapter is over 20 pages long and there's a lot of words and it's taking me ages. Like I love her, but it's taking me a long time
Yeah,
to
but you
get
got to
through.
be a bit kinder to your readers. Like I do always find it a bit disrespectful. I know
Yeah.
that's really silly, but I'm like, you got to make us want to keep reading your book, and sometimes if the chapters are that long, you
No.
don't.
And there's like only one break in the chapter, which is just too little. Like if it had more
Yeah,
breaks, I would be like, okay, yeah, fine. I can stop mid-chapter. I don't mind these days.
yeah.
But just one is too little.
I never know how authors even write that way because like I can feel myself after 1.5K, 2K words. I'm like, I need a break from
Yeah.
writing. So this scene needs def certainly needs a break.
Yeah, get it. Get it. Um, yeah, and I think that's really that. I'm gonna have more things to say perhaps next episode because I'll be enjoying other things um in the upcoming week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I was perhaps too impulsive with my money once again, something new and different. And I might get PlayStation in 2 days, and that means Baldur's Gate it is what it is. I am just a girl who really wants to romance the pale elf. Beautiful. That's his nickname. You laugh.
I didn't know that. I thought it was a vampire.
Yeah, but he was elf before. That's why he's the pale ale elf. My dog. What are you enjoying these days? No,
Me?
sorry. Can I talk about Superman?
No.
Okay.
Yes, go.
I watched Superman. I went to movies all by myself. I was very brave,
Hmm.
and I watched Superman. And it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Yes, the entire movie, I was watching Crypto, who his whole thing is being a bad dog, or just like not being like not good at being a dog. And the whole time I miss Addie because that I saw her in Crypto, and she's just literally proving my point
Yep.
right now. Um, anyway, it was really brilliant movie. There was a lot of not subtle messaging when it came to like being pro-Palestine, which was just brilliant. David Cornsweet, like, what do you want from me? What do you want from
Yeah.
me? He's the most perfect human being ever. Rachel, whose names I cannot pronounce, the last name I can pronounce, she's perfect Lois Lane. Everything was perfect. Nicholas Hoult, yeah, he terrified the fuck out of me, and I was into it. I was into
Yeah.
it.
I really get it. Yeah. I was watching an interview with them yesterday and I got really happy because David was asked who his favorite Superman actor was. And he said Tom Welling. I was
Yes,
like, that's not
I know. And
Superman.
he was being interviewed recently by the son of Christopher Reeves, who he's like a journalist, well, or reporter or something. I don't know which was which, but it was just very precious because they were like talking about the legacy of Superman and about like Christopher Reeves and how it felt to like just going into something that means so much to so many people for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just everything about the movie was great. Like I have zero bad things to say. Yeah, I'm really excited to see it again. Someone said that because David and Nicholas they're in love, man. Someone
Yeah.
said that they're like overdoing and outdoing. That's the correct word. Anthony and Sebastian and the interview.
No. No.
Yeah. No,
No.
because it was like Nicholas was like, "What? Where would you like to go on a vacation?" And it was like, "Anywhere with you, darling."
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I guess I like that David occasionally slips into the British accent because that's how much time he's been spending with Nicholas.
I was like, I really love how chronically offline he is.
Yeah.
It's the most precious thing in the world, and they're doing a lot of really brilliant marketing on TikTok, like a lot. And you just know that they had to explain it to him, and he still didn't get it.
No. All he had to do was read off a card, read compliments off a card, and
And
he
he didn't do
thought
it.
that he was making them up himself.
Yeah. He just had the iPad in his hand and he just didn't read it. And Rachel kept telling him, "You have to read it off of the iPad," and he still didn't. And the moment it was like your outfit really like it was like it eight, but he read it as it's an eight. And he was like, "That's very mean. I think your outfit is 10." And
I love simple man. I love cute little cinnamon roll man.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he's a nerd. He
Yeah.
just goes around making the droid sounds from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you enjoying these days?
Been going through something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I finished playing The Last of Us 2
Yeah.
and I fell in love with Abby.
Oh,
She's a mus
did you? Oh,
she's
I
a
didn't
muscle
notice.
mummy. And I can't talk about it because it's spoilers, but they do it really well. Things they
Soon enough,
like
I'll be playing it too.
you need to because we need to talk about it properly because
Yeah.
I just think they do it really well. And it's interesting because there's a lot of discourse surrounding whether these people are good or bad people. And whether they should have done what they did or not. And the people who kind of are adamant, no, they're bad people. They should like you wouldn't ever do this. I think they don't have the critical thinking or the basic empathy to imagine a world where the world is overrun by infected people. Nothing is the way you used to have it. Nothing is the way you remember it. Like there are certain things that you would have to do that you wouldn't normally do. And like people, the discourse is getting really strange in that way because there's no like right or wrong. And that's the whole point of the game. And you can tell they're pushing you towards realizing that, but some people just don't get
Yeah.
it.
I always have that with like when people are like, oh, these teenagers in these books are so annoying. Babes, they're teenagers who were extremely traumatized. Like, think. Just have a think, you know?
Yeah, someone said it about Kiln Me Softly. They was like they I don't like the way they act, but then I guess that's because they're 20 and I'm like, yeah. And also people never act the way you want them to act.
Yeah.
People act the way they need to act. Like that's the best media shows that. And even though it's sometimes annoying to watch characters do the wrong thing, like that's what that's what humanity's supposed to be. And I think that having to do that makes you more empathetic as a human being because when you see people doing wrong things in the world,
Hmm.
not like like evil things, but like wrong things,
Hmm.
making mistakes, you have to like you get to see why and you can I don't know. I just think
Yeah.
people people do bad things.
And there is something called empathy,
Yeah.
which is the whole point of reading books, where you're trying to understand the characters that you're reading about,
Yeah.
or something,
Or something.
or
I
something.
every time I write a book, I'm like, people are gonna fucking hate this book because they don't act, they don't do the perfect thing in every scene. They get upset about things and they get angry about things and they project their feelings onto people who don't deserve it and they have to kind of apologize for it later in the book. But like, I love that shit.
I love
That's
it.
all angst.
Honestly, and I just really like I don't necessarily need plot-driven books. I really love character-driven books, and I
Yeah.
just love a character development. There's nothing
Hmm.
better than that. I love seeing people grow. I love people realize or not grow or just get worse. I just really
Yeah.
like the human mind is such a complex, fascinating thing.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, you're, and at the same time, you're allowed to hate characters for what they did. Like, but I think when you don't bring the nuance to the argument and you're
Yeah.
just like, I hate that character.
Yeah.
They did this. It's like, but there's like, we exist within the context in which we live. We didn't just fall from a coconut tree. Like, there
Yeah.
are things to, Kamala Harris was right about
She
that.
was. Yes, that's true. That's true.
It's just very interesting. I'm excited for you to play it so we can talk about it properly
I'm
because
excited for me to play it.
I've nearly spoiled it to you several times this week.
And
Really
I
bad.
did not notice even once.
I, I can we just can you be proud of me?
Extremely proud and I'm very
I've
appreciative.
always stopped myself.
Yeah, and I didn't even know where you were going with it. So I didn't know like you were about to spoil something until you like reacted at yourself.
I'm really surprised you haven't put connected the dots,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
just didn't.
I'm proud of myself. And
Yes.
yeah, I've been writing Abby fan fiction. I want her to be my girlfriend. I want her to look after me.
That's
I
fair.
want to look after her. She goes through some stuff.
Get it. Get it. I want to say ask anything else, but I know there's nothing else.
There's been nothing else for me this week. All I've done is write,
Yeah.
not picked up a book,
Yeah.
not been watching anything
Yeah.
exciting. No, don't think there's anything for me. Just just that, just The Last
That's
of
fair.
Us.
Fair enough.
Yep.
I've been playing for a lot of Fortnite too. It's a
Yes.
Superman season, so you can connect the two dots for me also.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I keep winning and it's great. I think it's because on one-on-one, people don't team up at you.
Yeah.
That's what makes it simpler for me.
Hmm.
Sometimes I think.
So you're welcome, really, that I don't really
Yeah,
play it.
thank you. We played once when the new season came out, and I was on like I want to say it's level 6, 7. Now I'm on 98, and it's been like
You
two
weren't
weeks.
supposed to say,
No,
you weren't supposed to say thank you. You were supposed to say, no, I miss you a lot. Please come back to
you're
me.
still there fighting zombies, and it was very funny. Is when we were playing it, you were playing Last of Us, and I was playing Fortnite. We both just like had our own reactions, and it was very funny because when one of us reacted, we just have like as we weren't really paying proper attention. There was just like the responses that we do so much, they were on autopilot.
Yeah.
So every now and then one of us responded with something, and then I was like, I thought back, I was like, wait a minute, that makes zero sense. Just moved on.
No. Honestly, like we don't talk to each other some nights. We're there, we're on FaceTime, but we weren't in the same realm.
But we were going through our old messages a few days ago, and that
Yeah.
was an experience.
Yeah, I wasn't great at communicating. I'm sorry for
I
that.
was actually thinking about it afterwards, and I was thinking like, do you think it was diff it has to have been different because we weren't communicating in person before that. I think that's
Yeah,
what it was.
yeah. I think because we had that thing where we picked up the phone when we had something to say to each other, and I
Mhm.
think that I used to get annoyed if like it felt like you were spamming me, but we weren't really having quality conversations the way that we do now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Dude.
I was doing the same thing. And that I think that's why I used to get why we used to have more arguments before we was actually communicating
Mm,
because it's not really communicating.
yeah.
Now look at us.
Not communicating, but being online.
But then on the other night we were talking about that for ages. We were talking
Yeah.
about our old messages. So like
Yeah,
we
it
make
worked.
up for it now.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
And it's also easier to read the room in person than over
It
text.
is. It always is, yeah. Anyway, should we get to the interview with Olivia?
Let's get into it.
Enjoy.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I think most people will know things about you, but would you like to start by telling us a little bit about yourself anyway?
Sure. I'm Olivia Dade. I, to this point, have published a lot of contemporary romances, rom-coms. Um, this August, I'm coming out with my first paranormal romance, Zomromcom. So I'm super excited about that, and I'm delighted to chat with you both today.
Cool. Well, we actually wanted to talk a little bit about Zomromcom, which will be out by the time this episode will be out. So could you tell us a little bit more about it and what inspired you to write it?
Right. So Zomromcom is pretty much what it says on the package. It is a romantic comedy that involves a zombie outbreak. And basically, the idea is that this is set in a sort of a different version of our current world where the government attempted to create sort of super soldiers in secret. It went wrong as it does, both in reality and in fantasy. And they end up getting loose. And so they build a containment zone. They don't actually kill the remainder for various reasons, in part because they're hoping to use them again someday. And people who live within the containment zone, like a wall or two away from the zombies, can get very cheap land right near Washington, D.C., which is a very expensive area. So people who don't have a ton of money live there. Our main characters live in that area. Edie sees a zombie, so there's been another breach of the containment wall, and she goes to save her sweet but not terribly bright neighbor, Chad. And it turns out that his name is not Chad. He's not actually human, and, and he's actually a lot brighter than he has purported. He has acted like for the past several years of them being neighbors. And then it starts an adventure of them together trying to figure out what happened. And since the sirens aren't going off, there's no help forthcoming, trying to alert their neighbors what's happening. So it's funny, but there are zombies too, and it is a bit of an adventure romance. And hopefully, like I said, my goal for this book was for it to be fun, funny, actiony, hot, propulsive read. So, and hopefully that's what it is for people.
It sounds like it. I'm so excited. I'm in my zombie era right now. I talk about it on every episode, so I'm so
For like 3 years.
Yeah. Um, it sounds like you kind of didn't go the traditional route of, like people, there's a virus or, the usual zombie virus route. How did you
Mhm.
kind of build that like backstory and how did you come up with it?
I think there were a couple of reasons I didn't go that route. First is that I wrote this after 2020. And I wasn't entirely certain I want to talk about sort of contagion and infection in that way, because, yeah, that wasn't really what I was really wanted to do then. Also, because I wanted to make it a rom-com and lighter, to me, uh, there's a lot of inherent sadness to the thought that these were your former friends and neighbors and parents or whatever, that are the zombies, that these used to be human beings that were in your community. And so I kind of wanted to skip that part. So while I tried to sort of deal at least a little bit with the idea of sort of parsing out the ethics in regards to like killing the zombies. They had never been human, were never meant to be human. And so I could sort of elide that area, sort of avoid that area of concern so that it was easier for me to make it. It felt easier for me to make it a rom com. So, and then, yeah, that was actually the first decision I made was once I decided to write the book. Well, I had the title, but I'd had the title for several years, just figuring someone should use it. Probably not me, but then I did. Uh, but then my first decision, once I actually thought, well, how would I write? How, using my voice and sort of my sorts of stories, how would I write a zombie rom com? That was actually the first decision I made about that.
And did you find it a challenge to kind of switch that way?
I have they have not been published and they never will be published. But I had
Mhm.
written actually two futuristic romances in the late 20 teens. So set in different worlds, sort of futuristic, not paranormal, but sort of speculative fiction is something that I have written before. It's just not something I've published before. So while this was obviously quite a different story from my contemporary romances, it and I had never really seen myself writing zombies. That was a little bit of a surprise. The idea of sort of creating a different world than our current contemporary world wasn't too unfamiliar to me, just because I had written a couple stories before that were not straight on contemporary romances.
Um, how did you kind of, is there like a trick to create an equal balance of like the zombie aspects and the rom-com aspects? Like, how did you kind of merge them together?
A lot of that is sort of for me, is sort of by feel. Like I tried to make sure that it is similar to the balance that I have in my contemporary romances. With my contemporary romances, often what I'm balancing are sort of the more emotional aspects of the story, the things that give it a certain amount of emotional gravity, sadness, sort of past histories with the funny aspects, like especially a book like At First Bite, where a chunk of the story is about her being clinically depressed. So trying to balance that with enough humor so that I can still legitimately, honestly call it a rom com. This was sort of similar, where I was like, you gotta, it's Chekhov's zombies. Like, obviously, there have to be zombies. That kicks off the plot. That is, they show up during the book, obviously, on several occasions. But there has to be enough there that I can call it a rom com and feel honest and good about it. So again, a lot of it is just by instinct. If I'm writing and I'm like, wow, there hasn't been any funny stuff for a while. Like it's fine if you have like an actiony chapter where there's less funny stuff, but then you have to sooner rather than later, if it's been a while since there's been anything funny, then you gotta something here has to be funny. It could be conversation between them. It could be a side character, whatever. But so a lot of that's just instinctive and by feel for me. Sort of when I feel like it's been too long since there's something that a reader could laugh at.
Yeah. I'm taking this as a masterclass because I'm currently actually writing a zombie romance, but I don't think there's much comedy in it anymore.
Well, but they're excellent. Actually, I've been telling people that part of the reason I ended up writing one that I knew it was possible was that I had read, and they came out years ago, Kylie Scott's Flesh series and Charlotte Stein's Reawakening, which are also zombie romances. They're erotic romances. They involve thruples. Like it's different from mine. They are not comedic. I mean, they have witty lines that are funny, but they're not rom-coms. But I mean, certainly there's amazing zombie romances out there already. So, and yours will be the next one coming up.
We'll see. It's been a journey. And so, your love interest is also a vampire. How did you kind of plug that into the mix? Like you wanted to make it harder for yourself.
What I wanted to do was create a universe in which I had a lot of room to play. And that, so like by making it a world in which you have not only zombies, but like supernatural or humans with different abilities, or what I call enhanced humans, who are not supernatural per se. They're just a different version of natural, that just different from humans, a different species, was giving me a lot of room in the world to play if I wanted to continue writing books set in the world. And I just thought I really just enjoy ragtag, like motley crew of like community members coming together to save the world and to save each other, to save their community. And I just thought it'd be super fun to include all those different groups, including making sure, and I don't think most readers catch this, is that there is a comment at some point that not all supernatural groups have come forward yet. Like, so that even if there's stuff that I want to add in the future, I'm making sure I have room to play within that universe. And also, it just makes it more fun. Like I love having diversity in all of its forms, sort of on the page. And so if you add different species too, that makes even more sort of room for me to have fun with that.
Brilliant. Could you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit more about the two main characters and perhaps what do you hope, or is there something that you hope the readers will take from them?
Well, we have Edie, who is a human and loves giving the male main character, Max, who we find out pretty early on, so it's not a spoiler, is a vampire, loves giving him shit about various things, but is also very friendly and, again, community minded, and has survivor's guilt that her parents protected her from the previous zombie outbreak and died in the process. And she is determined not to run and hide and be saved at the expense of others' lives again. So sort of she is, I think, very brave. Not all of that bravery is out of like some of that bravery is out of guilt, and not all of it is super smart. But that is sort of part of what's driving her, apart from her inherent kindness. And Max is a vampire who has really isolated himself for reasons we find out later in the book, including from her by putting on this front as sort of this dim-witted, like 20-something bro named Chad, and useless. And but has paid attention to her unbeknownst to her for the past several years, and does not approve of her risking herself to go out and save other people because he's much more cynical than she is, but is not going to let her go alone if she does do it. And I think the thing, even though this was written a couple years ago, but I think part of if there's anything to take from it, because again, my basic idea was I really wanted the book to be pure fun, for people. The idea that people who are very different from one another can come together and form a community to save each other and protect the vulnerable from forces that would are sort of right that would destroy them. That that is something that is possible and good, and that it's easier to do that with joy. Even amidst fear and all of those things, that if it's done with sort of love and joy, that it's easier to do that. And it's important to protect the vulnerable in your community. And I guess that would be the larger message. But again, my whole idea was my goal for the book is I had just written right before I wrote Zomromcom, I wrote At First Sight, which I love, but it is a very personal book. There's parts of it ripped straight from my heart, particularly about depression. And I was like, I can't do angst. I can't do an angsty book right now. I'm tapped out. So like I really wanted to have a book that was the sort of book that I wouldn't want to read if I just really want to laugh really hard, and feel like obliged to read the next chapter to find out what's happening.
Beautiful. I'm even more excited now. So excited.
Yeah. Um, so your books are some of the first we actually saw with plus size characters on the cover. I think one of our first episodes we're talking about was spoiler alert and like
Mhm.
how refreshing it kind of was. Was it ever a challenge to push for that representation in the genre?
It wasn't actually, and I've tried to figure out before because you would think it might have been, but
Mm.
I think what happened is I started my first book came out almost exactly a decade ago, so 10 years ago. And that was a period of time where a lot of publishers were trying to sort of catch up with self-publishing. They had these digital first imprints where they acquired authors and did not pay them advances and didn't spend a ton of money on marketing or publicity or even the covers, and then put it out as ebooks, but print on demand. So essentially, kind of like a self published book, but through you do get royalties and they do editing and the cover, but through a publisher. And that's my first 6 books were under that model. And on it, no, I got no pushback. Now, part of that may have been that my editor at the time was just supportive of more diversity, body diversity in romance. But I honestly think part of it is probably because they had very little skin in the game.
Mhm.
Mm.
Like, so they were spending, I think, a little enough money on the books that were coming out that they were like, oh, that's what you want to do. And then put it out. But by the time I got picked up by Avon and like had a more traditional publishing model where you get an advance and there's actual, I think there's they where the publisher had more skin in the game. I'd become known more because I self-published several books in the meantime as well, which had fat characters. And again, I don't use fat as a pejorative; it's just a descriptor, like saying you're a brunette. Um, but I had become somewhat known for that representation. So they kind of knew what they were getting. Like they acquired me in part because of the representation, because my editor, Elle Keck, whom I adore, she's no longer an editor anymore. She's different industry now. But she specifically acquired me in part uh, because she loved my writing, but also because she thought that representation was important. And I know that's part of the reason my agent acquired me too. So like, um, I've been fortunate enough to find people who it's not a detraction, but instead, it's not a bug, it's a feature that they were looking for that representation. And now at this point, again, you can't say that I didn't warn you. Like,
Yeah.
and I will say, even having my first traditionally pubbed fat male main character, which is much less common actually these days than a fat female main character. When I proposed that to Elle at the time for Shipwrecked, Peter and Maria are both fat in that book, fat and hot and famous actors. When I proposed that, my editor said, she was like, "Yeah, I was wondering I was wondering if that was something you wanted to do soon." And then there was just no more discussion of it. So like, I've been very fortunate.
That's really good to hear. That's really good to hear. And I mean, speaking of the spoiler alert, this is without like that was the first book that we read that had fat representation on the cover and in the book, and without it being like, oh, she's curvy because she has big boobs type of thing, which was really exciting. So we kind of had to talk about it. What what was the decision to set this series in the world of acting, which is also like knownly very fatphobic even now? And did you do any research going into the books about the industry?
Right. So the reason that the Spoiler Alert series was originally born out of a proposal for follow-up books to a book that ended up not being acquired by a traditional publisher. We shopped around 40 Love, and my agent was like, you need to have potential follow-up books. And at the time, I was in the middle of a 2-year intensive binge where basically all I read was fan fiction. uh, of Jamie Lannister, Brienne of Tarth fan fiction, even though I had not and still have not watched Game of Thrones. so, but fan fiction was sort of at the foremost of my mind at the time. So when asked to propose a follow-up book, I was like, well, because if you watched interviews with the Game of Thrones cast during the time of the final season, there are some of them that, as I've always said, some of those interviews look like impromptu hostage videos. I'm not saying that they hated the final season too, but I am saying that some of them, the interviews, had expressions and tones which could be interpreted as saying that there were problems. And so it occurred to me, I'm like, well, what would that be like if you were heading into like the final season of this blockbuster show and you absolutely hated how the show was ending, but you couldn't say anything about it because it would wreck your career. And then what if, and I merged that with the fan fiction where I was like, what if that star was also writing his own sort of fix it fix, corrective fan fiction about how he thought the story should go. And then it sort of spiraled out into the story of Spoiler Alert. So I had that as a follow up, and none of the traditional publishers wanted 40 Love, but they did want the proposal that I had for these other books set in the world of Hollywood. And then I actually had to write that. And to that point, I had mostly had settings and jobs that I myself had had in the past, like librarian, teacher, things like that. I obviously have not been a television or movie star in the past. So yes, that took a lot of research, a lot of behind the scenes videos of like filming and looking into the right terminology, and also research on geology because April is a geologist. Luckily, I had a dear friend, Marika, who uh, has April's job essentially. So basically, I interviewed her for hours. She was very patient with me to sort of figure out what that would be like. And then, as far as Hollywood and California in general, I have another dear friend. She writes with Susanna Irwin, uh, a very talented author as well. And she was part of the film and TV industry for many years, still lives in California. And she helped me with some of the details that were harder for someone who has not been in the industry. So, yeah, a lot of research. I remember sitting down to write it, and I was like, why did I do this to myself? but in the end, it was really, I think, a big leap forward because I did do something that took me out of sort of my comfort zone. As much as I love the books that are set with teaching and in libraries, it was good to sort of push me out a little bit too.
So with so many books under your belt, have you learned anything about the publishing world? And has anything changed since you first began?
I mean, I have learned a lot. I think it would be hard without sort of gaining more specific direction to sort of,
Mhm.
list those things because, I mean, it's been my job for 10 years. So if I hadn't, you should be concerned. You'd be like, what have you been doing all this time? Uh, the industry is quite different in a variety of ways. Like I said, 10 years ago, I think the publishing industry was sort of caught somewhat flat-footed by self-publishing, was trying to catch up. Now at this point, like, they're more obviously familiar with ebooks. Um, I do think the publishers may still be more comfortable marketing to bookstores rather than to individual readers, which is why I think so many of them like to pick up people who have been self-published successfully, because then they're sort of gaining that readership without necessarily having to create that readership themselves.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, there was a period where there was a lot more emphasis on diversity. I don't know whether, and one could argue that there was more emphasis on acquiring more diverse authors in various ways, like, racial, body diversity, um, LGBTQ plus, uh, religion, all sorts of different areas of diversity. Uh, One could argue that sometimes they would acquire authors but not actually give them the marketing and publicity support that they needed to sort of find a wider audience. So yeah, I think that the rise of TikTok
Mm.
has been the big driving force, the hegemony of Amazon, and particularly the death of a lot of other bookstore chains. So there's just Barnes and Noble indie bookstores, which are amazing, but the behemoth is Amazon and KU. KU and TikTok are the giants that have driven a lot of sort of what's been happening, I think, in publishing. Uh, and and so publishers, I think, have focused, I think, in recent years a little bit more on acquiring people who have already become big in self-publishing or TikTok, often on KU. And right, I think that those are sort of the forces that publishing is sort of grappling with right now, is how to also more of an emphasis on books as an aesthetic object, because KU can't give you that.
Mhm.
Right. So like having special editions, having painted edges, whatever it is, you can't get that on KU. That has to be a physical aesthetic object, which often also is more prone to becoming a thing on TikTok or Instagram because it's pretty, and then taking advantage of sort of that as a counterbalance to like KU, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. Like I think Sarah J. Maas has always like 15 special editions all around the world, and that's just insane.
Right. It's also a way to counterbalance against piracy
Mm,
of books, because you can pirate the text, you can't pirate pretty sprayed edges,
mm,
and gilded lettering on the book.
yeah.
So like it's sort of so there are different things that are sort of springing forth now, I would say, in publishing in response to, yeah, to KU, to TikTok, and to piracy as well.
Yeah. With so much experience, are there still some things that come as a surprise to you or spark excitement?
I mean, every book is different. So you think every time you're like, I've done this many times before. This
Mm,
should be very straightforward and easy. And sometimes, I mean, frankly, sometimes it is.
mhm.
Like Zomromcom, I think because no one was out there clamoring for me to write a zombie romance. No one. So there were no expectations for it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't under contract. I wrote it just because I had like 3 or 4 free months, and I was like, well, but I'm not gonna, I mean, why not? Like, let's see. I like taking my brain out for a spin to see what it can do,
Mhm.
right? So, like, am I capable of writing a book like this? Let's find out. So, that wasn't futuristic, but the paranormal, sort of an actiony. That was the thing. It was making it very, like, I shortened my sentence length, my normal sentence length, and like, my books are not like, my hallmarks of my contemporary romances are not like nonstop action. So they're more like banter and other things, right? So I had to sort of change my writing style too. And so it was a little bit of a challenge for me, and a fun challenge for me. Um, I forgot what the original it was. Oh, what have I learned? Oh, just that. And so Zomromcom actually was, it went really quickly. And once I got the tone down, like I rewrote the first couple chapters like a bunch of times till I realized sort of tonally what I was going for. sentence structure. Like, again, I had to break up some of my usual longer sentences and do that, and decide that it was going to be single point of view instead of dual, because at that point I'd always done dual point of view. And I still have all my contemporary romances are dual point of view. But once those decisions were made, the rest of it went really quickly. It was a real joy to write, actually. And then there are books that I'm super proud of that took me forever to write and were just much more problematic. Like this, the follow-up to Zomromcom, which I think our final official title is World's Okayest Oracle Reluctantly Seeks Demon. Took me the better part of a year to write versus like 2.5, 3 months. And part of that is because it ended up incredibly way too long, like 141,000 words. And Zomromcom is like 100,000 or like close to 100,000. So I wrote almost like a book and a half and then had to edit it back to be a book. So, and I'm really happy with, I mean, like for a book that was as difficult to write in some ways as it was, I'm really thrilled with how it came out. But you would think at this point you wouldn't write 40,000 extra words like this far into your writing career. But here we are.
Happened. Yeah.
Here we are. I still did it. I had to edit it back. And actually, my books that I've had to edit back, to prune back that severely, often end up being my favorite of my books because I have really given them like a ton of attention and love down to the sentence level. Like, I've been laughing about how for World's Okayest Oracle, reluctantly see semen, for World's Okayest Oracle, or Woo, as I call it, you know, when they were having dialogue, you know, you have, you know, he said, she said, whatever. But usually I have like an action tag where it's like, he says something, he's like, he sighed and ran his hand through his hair or dragged a hand through his hair. And I was going through and I was cutting on the sentence level to get it down to a decent length. And I was like, you get one reaction. Characters, you can either sigh or you can run a hand through your hair, but you cannot do both. So I was going through, like, that's how, when I say that I was paying a lot of attention on, like, on the individual sentence level, like, that's the sort of detail I'm looking at. And I think in the end, those books are often, like, much more tightly written. Like, I had to do something similar for At First Sight, for All the Feels. And those books, I've been much more disciplined because I had to prune back anything that wasn't necessary, what I considered necessary. So, so yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot, but you don't, they're always different every time. And every time you're like, for many of us, not all, I'm sure there are authors who feel totally confident every time they are in front of blank page one, right? But a lot of us sit in front of blank page one, they're like, how the hell did I do this? Like, it's such a huge project. And it's sort of like the old cartoons where they run off a cliff and they keep going until suddenly they notice that they're not on land anymore and then they fall. Like there's a part of you that has to forget that you're just making shit up. Like
Yeah.
that you have to create. You're spinning this tale of, you know, 100,000 words or however long it is, just out of your brain. You're making stuff up. Like, and sometimes it's better not to remind yourself of that. It seems really hubristic, and it's also just the task seems insurmountable until you've actually done it. And as many times as you do it, though, there's a lot of us who sit in front of a computer, they're like, how do I not still feel like this is my first book and maybe I've forgotten how to write a book, you know?
Yeah, I get that a lot. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So we have to close it up. But it was so lovely to talk to you. I wish we could talk to you
Yeah.
forever.
Well, I'm sorry I'm chatty. I always spend way too long
Oh,
No, we
answering
love
questions.
that. Yeah,
yeah,
I could listen
this
to it
is so
forever. Yeah, this was exciting.
Did you have any last questions you want to ask? I mean,
We have 2 minutes. Could you tell us what you're currently enjoying or currently
Loving.
anything been watching, gaming, anything?
I recently watched The Gorge, which is I thought was super fun because it was sort of like a horror romance, sort of, I thought it was really well done, actiony, sort of slightly horror romance. I thought that was great. I am going to read my dear friend, gosh, I forgot what name she wrote it under. It's either Mindy Hun, Ruby Lane, or Opal Way. It's The Glowing Life of Leanne. Anyway, I will make sure that make if contact me to get the name of it. All right, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, we have a minute left. I don't think it's gonna.
We're gonna get kicked out of Zoom
Gonna
sometime.
get kicked
Leanne,
out.
The Glowing Life of Leanne Wu by Mindy Hun, and that is coming up for me next, and I'm excited about it. It has a little touch of magical realism.
Oh,
So, yay!
Amazing. Thank you so
thank
much.
you so much.
There we have it.
There we have it.
That was really nice.
It was. Anything you'd like to say? Anything on your chest that you'd like to speak about?
I've got so much on my chest. Look at these pictures.
And that's the truth.
I was just saying when we turned off the recording that when Olivia was talking about writing and stuff, I was like, oh, that I have that and I do that. And I was like, whoa, I can relate to Olivia Dade. I'm an author.
Yeah. Oh man.
Well, we've ticked Olivia Dade off our list. Who is the next one we really, really, the one, the guest that well, the author that we've read and that we really, really want to talk to?
Coilius.
Oh, yeah.
We tried
Yeah.
that. We got no response yet, but I'm not giving up. I will
Yeah.
find a way to annoy the fuck out of the people that I want to talk to.
While you're doing it, can you also ask them to read my book? Because I did ask Olivia. I DM'd Olivia
Right.
and she didn't reply to me. So since you're better at this,
Okay,
maybe
yes.
you can do the work.
I don't, you know what? I think it's funny because how do you feel like when we're contacting these people? Like, are you
I
like
hate it.
nervous about it? You hate it.
I feel like I'm asking for free things when we ask for arcs. I feel like it's me, it's a me problem. I have trauma. I don't expect people to take time out of their day to even look my way.
You know what? Like, I usually, it's funny because I get that, but I actually think it's because of my job because I'm so used to, like, I see it as a business transaction only.
Yeah,
Like, I
as
don't
fair.
go to the personal level.
I
And
wish
I
that
was,
I wish that I was
yeah.
I was like that. I don't like it. I feel like they're doing us a favor, even though like a lot of what we why we do this is to,
Mhm.
keep spotlighting smaller authors as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I don't like asking for anything ever, so I feel very uncomfortable when I'm doing it. So that's your job.
Yeah, and look at us, like we have it very separated. You do it with a certain group of people, and then I go and ask the people who don't want to talk to us. I'm like, can you
Yeah,
do that? And they're like,
I'm
okay, fine.
yeah. If you reach out first, I'll contact you, babes.
Yeah,
If we want you, Ivy will
yeah,
contact you.
yeah. It's like if you were gonna keep screaming, I'm gonna send the father at you. Like I'm that.
Yeah. Although to be fair, you do organize most of the episodes, because I focus on the blog stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll see another way we have it kind of separate now, but that took us
Yeah.
time.
It took us time and we had to really work to understand how to do this thing.
Yeah. Anyway, who's the next? I don't know. I have so many writers that I would love to talk to.
We have a few down, a few
That's
hopefuls
true.
down. Um, Heather
As
Fawcett,
I was about to say, and then S.T. Gibson,
Gibson.
um,
Um,
Victoria Aveyard. We wanted to. We have that there.
wouldn't it be great to talk to like authors that we used to read growing up? Although most of them are kind of problematic these days. Like If we had Cassandra Clare on, who I loved growing up, I'd be like, so why did you do that?
Why the incest? I also heard that it's based on like like the
Oh God,
Weasley siblings fan fiction. Like, why
yeah.
are you
Yeah.
well?
Yeah.
Would you like to
Um,
talk about that? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, Alexandria Bellaflower. We also tried that.
I don't know why I feel intimidated by her.
I get that.
I don't know what it is.
Fair enough.
Um, oh yeah, she just kind of disappeared from our DMs, didn't she?
Yeah.
I would say we're very lucky that, we have a lot of indie authors that I admire in our community
Yeah.
and in our Discord and people we've already talked to.
Hmm.
Um,
It's
I'm
true.
trying to think. I love so many people. I have so much love for a lot of authors and
I
people.
know, honestly. Holly Black.
Yeah.
That would be a cool
I
person.
mean, I'm just now introduced to Danielle Jensen.
Danielle fucking Jen. I think that's a possibility though. Like I think that's reachable for us.
Yeah. The only thing is there's so many straight authors in the mix.
I
Or like people who
know.
only write straight characters. And it's like, what if we lose our brand if we talk to these
I don't think
people?
so. I think we're gay enough for that.
Yeah, we may. I mean, I came in with my big fat Abby Anderson crush
There
today,
you have
so.
it. Yeah.
Oh.
I think we make up for that. Olivia Blake would be an interesting person to talk to. I
I've
am,
yet to read for her yet.
yeah, I think she's too smart for me to
I
be chill,
know.
like pretend to be chill about it. But at the same time, I want to talk to her because she's so smart. I'm like, how, like, what, you know?
Get it.
That's how I
I
think I
don't
would talk
mind
to
if
her.
I understand someone or not. If I'm like, okay, I'll listen to you because you're
Yeah,
smart. I
yeah,
don't really care if I any of it goes in my head.
yeah. Ali Hazel will be really cool to talk to.
She would.
I think she'll be very fun. I
Yeah,
think she would set on our vibe and it would be very fun for us.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, we could get into the nitty-gritty of knotting because she was my intro into that. And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
She was my intro into that. And
Yeah,
that's me saying that. I read about
I
aliens. I
know.
know nothing. Honestly. I don't know what it is. It took me so long to get into Omegaverse. Anything else you'd like to share with the world?
I think Kindlin's coming out in the US and Canada soon.
Ooh,
I think. I mean, what day is it today?
16th
On
of August.
16th of August. Definitely not the 12th of July.
Oh, no. No, don't break the fourth wall. We recorded it on this day and we immediately went to go out there.
Yeah, that's what we do. We're just that magical.
They were so
Yeah,
good.
Kindling is out very soon, I think at the end of this month, so maybe you would like to read it.
No, no, maybe you would.
And then I can get more famous and write more kissing books for you
Yes. Yes.
and maybe get actually paid for this job.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
That would be
Wouldn't that be
lovely.
nice? Lovely
Mm,
indeed. Lovely indeed.
lovely.
Well, until next time,
Support women's rights.
but most importantly, support women's wrongs. Always
Yeah, I agree.
and forever.
Especially if they're muscle mummies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we shall see you later, alligator.
In a while, crocodile.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for listening. You can expect an episode every other Wednesday.
And be sure to expect lots of guests, including authors and queer creators.
While waiting for the episodes, feel free to check out our website, swordsandsuffix.com.
Be sure to submit to our forms if you're a queer creator to be featured on our blog or our monthly release lists.
You can also take part in Swords and Suffix and Scribbles, which is a monthly writing event to help you reach your goals.
And if you're just looking for a community that will be supportive and joyful, you can join our Discord server where most of our writing events take place, but also we just have lots of conversations and lots of fun.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok, where you can find us as all kinds of versions of Swords and Zombies.